Voices of Parkland, a survivor story. On February 14, 2018, a very sad and scary event happened at Missouri's Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. A 90-year-old guy named Nicholas Cruz, who used to go at this school, did something terrible. He used an AR-15 to hurt a lot of people. 17 people died and 70 more were hurt. This made it one of the worst school shootings in the US. People didn't know exactly why Cruz did this, but he did have problems before at school, and one of them was bullying. When the shooting happened, the police and helpers came, but people later said they should have acted faster. After this, Cruz was caught by the police. He was in big trouble, facing charges for the harm he caused.
This sad event started a lot of talk about gun laws in the US. People especially talked about the rules of owning big guns like the one Cruz used. The shootings also made students and family who were fighting for new gun laws. They organized a big protest called March for Our Life to ask for these changes. Schools all over the country started looking for that could be safer. They talked about being ready for emergency, helping students with mental health, and making schools more secure.
Welcome to today's podcast, where we're gonna dive into important conversations. I'm your host, Harry.
And I'm your host, Charles. Today's episode is both solemn and significant. We're discussing the major Stoneman Douglas High School shooting, an event that shocked our nation.
And welcome to you, Ben. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's great to be here.
Good. Today we're going to ask you some questions about the Parkland school shooting. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So, you were at the Parkland school shooting, right?
Yeah, the worst day of my life.
Can you remember anything specific from that day? Like in the morning, did something unusual happen, or was it just a regular morning?
It was just a regular morning and nothing seemed special or any more different than any other days. I went through my normal routine, headed to school, and everything seemed just like usual. The halls were busy and it felt like an ordinary day at the high school with no idea of the tragedy that was about to unfold.
When did you start noticing that something was out of ordinary?
Later in the day when I was in class, I heard some loud bangs at which I first thought was someone dropping a large object or a door getting smacked. But then I heard someone scream and instantly knew something was wrong.
What do you do then?
Our teacher told us to remain calm and hide under the tables. We stayed there for what felt like hours until something terrible happened.
What happened?
A guy came into our classroom with a gun, and before anyone could react, he shot and killed our teacher. Everyone began to panic and the shooter began shooting out in the classroom where he hit students, including me. He left the classroom quickly after.
Where did you get shot?
I got shot in my left leg so I couldn't run or walk.
Did anyone in the classroom other than the teacher die?
Yes, 2 students died in my classroom and I don't remember how many, but a lot were also injured.
Then what?
Ambulances came after some time and many students were sent to the hospital. Police were all over the school and we were quickly told to stay still. It was really scary. We just waited in the classroom, not really knowing what was happening outside. Later, police came to our room and let us out. That's when we saw how serious everything was. It was a day I'll never forget.
So what happened to the shooter?
He ran away from the school and blended in with the other students, but luckily then he got arrested after I think an hour had passed.
So you said you were shot in the leg, so can you walk normally or do you still have some challenges?
I was in a wheelchair for 4 months and then I was able to walk again. I still limp a little when I walk and I'm not able to run.
That doesn't sound very pleasant, but how do you feel mentally? Are you stable or do you still think much about the event?
Almost every night when I go to bed I find it hard to sleep, and when I sleep I have nightmares of the perpetrator shooting other students.
After you got out of the hospital, did you get any kind of therapy or help with your mental health?
Yeah, but it doesn't help that much.
Do you still go to therapy?
Yes, I found a good therapist, and so I still go to therapy a few times a week.
That sounds good. Did you ever experience Nicholas Cruz do something weird or suspicious at school or him getting bullied?
I did notice a few things about Nicholas Cruz that seemed off. There were times when he acted in ways that weren't typical, like being really quiet and keeping to himself a lot. I remember hearing about him getting into trouble now and then. As for bullying, it's hard to say for sure, but I did hear rumors that he might have been picked on by some students. It's difficult to know the whole story, but there were signs that he was struggling with something.
You mentioned that Nicholas often kept him from himself and was pretty quiet. This kind of change can sometimes be a sign that someone's not okay. Did any of his friends, classmates, or maybe a teacher notice this change in him? Were there any talks or action by them to reach out or help him anyway?
Some classmates noticed he was acting differently, but I'm not sure if anyone really talked to him about it. Teachers might have seen it, but with so many students, it's hard to say. I don't know if anyone tried to help him or talk to him directly. He didn't have any friends, so people didn't think much about it.
Considering Nicolas' behavior and the changes you mentioned, was there ever a time when he was asked to leave school permanently? Did the school take any specific actions regarding his prison?
Yeah, Nicholas was eventually asked to leave the school. He was dismissed last year after getting into a fight with his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend. Nicholas was also expelled because bullets were found in his backpack. So it looks like there were a few serious incidents that led to the school to decide he couldn't stay there anymore.
After the sad thing that happened at your school, many students, including some from your school, started March for Our Lives. This was a big thing to try to stop the gun violence. What are your thoughts about this movement? Did you or anyone you know join in, or did something help it?
March for Our Lives was really important. It felt like we were doing something to make a change after what happened. We were also sad and angry, and this movement gave us a way to do something positive and to be heard. I know some of my friends went to this big march, and we all supported it in different ways. It was like we were all coming together to say enough is enough with gun violence. It made us feel like we were part of something bigger, trying to make sure what happened at our school doesn't happen again anywhere else.
Okay, that was the story from a survivor of the Missouri Stoneman Douglas High School shooting. We are deeply grateful to Ben for sharing these experiences and insight with us, and to our listeners, thank you for joining us today.